Hello guys. So now we shall be discussing regarding the hyoid bone. Okay. So we shall be discussing regarding the anatomy of the hyoid bone. Now in this anatomy of the hyoid bone, so first of all you have to know that where is this hyoid bone located? Hyoid bone is located at the base of the mandible. Base of the mandible, and that is at the level of C3. That is at the level of C3. Next important thing over here is that if you can look at this hyoid bone over here, what are the different structures? For example, this is called as your mandible, right? Now beneath the mandible, this bone is called as your hyoid bone, and beneath the hyoid bone, this cartilage is called as your thyroid cartilage. Okay, I mean the thyroid cartilage and the remaining structures together, you call them as a larynx. You call them as a larynx or your voice box. Okay, so this is your mandible. Beneath your mandible at the level of C3, you have got your hyoid bone. Now this is a picture of hyoid bone. Now in this hyoid bone, there are three important structures which you can see. The one which is marked with the red is called as the body of the hyoid bone. Okay, what is this called? This is called as a body of the hyoid bone. Apart from this body of the hyoid bone, we have got two more important things. For example, this one over here is called as a greater horn of hyoid bone. Greater horn of hyoid bone. This yellow one is called as a lesser horn of hyoid bone. Lesser horn of hyoid bone. So we have got two greater horns, we have got two lesser horns of hyoid bone. Okay. Now let us see what are the muscles that are in attachment to this hyoid bone. So to this hyoid bone, actually there are many muscles that are attached. Let us see what are the muscles that are attached. First, let us look at the muscles of oral cavity and pharynx that are attached to the hyoid bone. Oral cavity and pharynx. So when it comes to the oral cavity and the pharynx, basically there are three muscles that are attached here. The first muscle is called as the middle constrictor muscle. The first muscle is called as a middle constrictor muscle, which you also can call it as middle pharyngeal constrictor. Middle pharyngeal constrictor. So the first muscle is your middle pharyngeal constrictor. So you can see the muscles over here. There are three different types of muscles, right? So this muscle over here is on the top. This is called as superior pharyngeal constrictor. This is called as your superior pharyngeal constrictor. Okay. Next, this muscle over here is called as your middle pharyngeal constrictor. And the last muscle here is called as your inferior, not this one. See, this one is called as your middle pharyngeal constrictor. Okay. So this particular muscle over here is called as your middle pharyngeal constrictor, and this one over here is called as your inferior pharyngeal constrictor. Inferior pharyngeal constrictor. So there are three important muscles over here: superior pharyngeal constrictor, and this one is called as your middle pharyngeal constrictor, and this is called as your inferior pharyngeal constrictor. Okay, so that is called as your inferior pharyngeal constrictor. So if you can look at this picture, let me zoom this picture. If you can look at this picture clearly, so this is your superior pharyngeal constrictor, middle pharyngeal constrictor, and inferior pharyngeal constrictor. Now look at middle pharyngeal constrictor. Middle pharyngeal constrictor, where is it attached? You see, it is attached to this particular bone. This particular bone over here is called as your hyoid bone. You see here, this is the middle pharyngeal constrictor attached to the surface of the hyoid bone here. Yes or no? So this middle pharyngeal constrictor is attached to the hyoid bone. That is what I am telling you. So the oral cavity and pharynx muscles, for example, one is middle pharyngeal constrictor that is attached to your hyoid bone. Second important muscle over here is hyoglossus muscle. What is hyo? Hyo in the sense hyoid bone, it is also attached to the hyoid bone. Third important muscle is genioglossus muscle. Genioglossus muscle. So what are the different kinds of muscles that are attached to the hyoid bone? So one is called as a middle pharyngeal constrictor. I have shown you in the picture here itself. Next, hyoglossus as well as genioglossus. Okay, so these are the two muscles that are attached here. So how can you see hyoglossus and genioglossus? You can see only from the lateral side. So lateral side, if you look at this picture, this is how it looks. Actually, let me add up one more important thing. So let us say this is your nose, this is the tongue, This is how it is. This is the complete picture like this. Okay. Now here you can see one very important thing, that this is a dorsum of your tongue. This is your dorsum of your tongue. Okay. Now after this dorsum of your tongue, what is this yellow color muscle over here? What is this yellow color muscle? This yellow color muscle over here is called as geniohyoidus muscle, because it is attached all the way from the mental process back to the hyoid, right? So that is why you call this muscle as, see, this one is called as your hyoid bone. You see this bone is called as your hyoid bone, and this muscle is called as geniohyoidus muscle. Okay, geniohyoidus muscle. Now after geniohyoidus muscle, you see this particular muscle over here, this one, this blue one, this is called as your genioglossus muscle. This is called as your genioglossus muscle. Okay. After genioglossus muscle, you see directly from here, from the hyoid bone, you see a muscle that is coming all the way and going up and attaching here. So this particular muscle over here is called as hyoglossus muscle. This is called as hyoglossus muscle. And finally, from the styloid process, you see this particular process over here is called as your styloid process. This is your styloid process. From the styloid process, you see this muscle that is coming like this. So this is called as styloglossus muscle. So this one is called as your styloglossus muscle. So by looking at this explanation, you can very clearly understand where are the muscles that are, what are the muscles that are attached to your hyoid bone, right? So here, what are the things? One is called as hyoglossus, another one is called as genioglossus. You see, where is hyoglossus? This is hyoglossus attached to the hyoid bone, and this is the genioglossus, which is also attached to your hyoid bone. Okay, right. Next important thing is that after discussing the oral cavity and pharynx muscles, now let us discuss the next group of muscles. They are called as suprahyoid and infrahyoid muscles. I mean, so for example, if this is your hyoid bone like this, if this is your hyoid bone, the muscles that are attached above are called as the suprahyoid muscles. The muscles that are attached below the hyoid bone are called as the infrahyoid muscles. So we have got two different types of muscles. One is called as the suprahyoid, another one is called as the infrahyoid muscles. So what are the suprahyoid and infrahyoid? You see, this is the hyoid bone. Above this hyoid bone, these muscles are called as suprahyoid muscles. So let us discuss one by one. The first important muscle, you can see this particular muscle over here. You see this muscle which I am shading right now. This muscle which I am shading right now, and this muscle also. This muscle is called as the digastric muscle. So within this digastric, we have got two bellies. This is called as the anterior belly of digastric, and this is called as a posterior belly of your digastric. Okay. Now after digastric muscle is done, okay, let me write it down that the first muscle is your digastric muscle. Digastric muscle. After the digastric muscle, the second important muscle. The second important muscle over here is that from the styloid process, you see a muscle that is attached to the hyoid bone. So what should be the name of this muscle? The name of this muscle from the styloid process to the hyoid bone is called as stylohyoid muscle. Okay, so this muscle is called as stylohyoid muscle. Okay, now after this stylohyoid muscle, you see this particular muscle which I have drawn in the dotted line. This particular muscle over here is called as your geniohyoid muscle. Geniohyoid muscle. Okay, and after this geniohyoid muscle, the last important muscle which you can see over here, see this part, this muscle which you can see like this on the back here, right? So this one, this particular muscle over here is called as your mylohyoid muscle. So regarding the suprahyoid and infrahyoid, I have drawn the picture of each and every muscle and then I have explained. So this is a direct picture which I have kept from there. So I want you to watch that video before you watch this. Okay. So the fourth important muscle is your mylohyoid. Okay. Fourth important muscle is your mylohyoid muscle. So what are the different kinds of muscles which you can see? The first important muscle is your digastric muscle. Next is your stylohyoid muscle. Third is your geniohyoid, and fourth is your mylohyoid muscle. So these are the four important muscles that are located above the hyoid bone. That is why we call them as your suprahyoid muscles. Suprahyoid muscles. Okay. Now let us discuss about the infrahyoid muscles, that are the muscles that are located beneath the hyoid bone. So first important muscle which you can see over here, this muscle is called as omohyoid muscle. What is this omohyoid muscle? Omohyoid muscle is having two bellies. So this one is called as the superior belly of omohyoid and this is called as the inferior belly of omohyoid. In between the two omohyoid muscles, you see this particular tendon. This is called as your intermediate tendon. Okay. Next important thing is that you can actually look at one more important muscle here. So this muscle is all the way from the thyroid till the hyoid. This is called as thyrohyoid muscle. You see this particular muscle over here, this particular muscle, thyroid to the hyoid, that is why you call it as thyrohyoid muscle. Okay, so this muscle is your thyrohyoid muscle. Now, after thyrohyoid muscle, you see another muscle that is located all the way here from the sternum to the clavicle all the way to the oblique line of your what is this? Thyroid cartilage, right? This muscle is called as sternothyroid muscle, where it is present all the way from the sternum to the thyroid. So that is why you call this muscle as sternothyroid muscle. Okay, after sternothyroid, you see another muscle that is going all the way up from the sternum here. It is going all the way up till the hyoid bone. So this is called sternohyoid muscle. So this one is called as sternohyoid muscle. So how many muscles we have got? We have got 4 muscles here. One is called as your omohyoid muscle, superior belly, inferior belly, thyrohyoid muscle, sternohyoid muscle and sternothyroid muscle. So these are the 4 muscles which are located below the hyoid bone, which are called as infrahyoid muscles, and these are the 4 muscles that are located above the hyoid bone, which are called as your suprahyoid muscles. Suprahyoid muscles. Okay. So once after discussing the infrahyoid, let us write down these infrahyoid muscles. So the first important infrahyoid muscle, what is that? Thyrohyoid. Another one is sternohyoid and sternothyroid. Sternohyoid, sternothyroid, and fourth important thing, what is this? Omohyoid muscle, right? So these are the 4 important infrahyoid muscles. These are your infrahyoid group. These are your infrahyoid group. Okay. Now after this, the next important thing is that, look here, this is your styloid process, right? This is another styloid process. Down here you have got, what is this bone? This bone is your hyoid bone. Down here you have got this particular bone called as hyoid bone. And down to the hyoid bone you have got one more important bone over here, and this bone is not bone, this is a cartilage. This cartilage over here is called as your thyroid cartilage. Now what I am telling you is that you see from the, okay, let me write down these names. This is called as styloid process, and this one over here is called as hyoid bone, and this is called as thyroid cartilage. So this part is your thyroid, this part is your thyroid. Okay. Now what I am doing is that, let us draw what are the ligaments that are attached to your hyoid bone. First important ligament, you see that from the thyroid till the hyoid you see a ligament here. This ligament is called as thyrohyoid membrane. Okay, the name of this ligament is thyrohyoid membrane. So this is called as your thyrohyoid membrane. Now after this thyrohyoid membrane, the next important thing is from the styloid process to the hyoid bone, like this. From the styloid process to the hyoid bone, this is called as stylohyoid ligament. What is this ligament? This ligament is called as stylohyoid ligament. So stylohyoid ligament, another one is thyrohyoid membrane. So these are the 2 important structures. Along with that, third important ligament also, which I cannot show it to you here, that is called as hyoepiglottic ligament. Hyoepiglottic ligament. So what are the 3 ligaments over here? One is called as a stylohyoid, second one is called as a thyrohyoid, and third one is called as a hypoepiglottic ligament. So these These are the three important ligaments which you can see over here. These are the three important ligaments which you can see that are attached to your hyoid bone. So these are the ligaments attached to the hyoid bone. Okay, right? So these are some of the very important things which you need to know regarding the hyoid bone, guys. So thank you so much for watching my video. Goodbye.